Alright, what's up, everybody? We're back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. So last night, the NBA All-Star starters were announced. And I'll talk about here in today's video because there's one particular one that a lot of people are talking about that they might not agree with. And I'm going to talk about it here in today's video as well about Damian Lillard being an All-Star starter. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the content around here, consider subscribing, turn notifications, stuff like that. I really appreciate it. Really helps out a lot. We're on the road to 500 subscribers. We're currently above 480 as I'm recording this. We are so close to that 500 mark. So if you enjoyed the content, hit the subscribe button. It will mean a whole lot to me. Look at my Twitter, TikTok, stuff like that in the description down below. And don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right to it. So of course on TNT last night we had the NBA All-Star starters that were announced. And in the Eastern Conference, one of these starting guards was Damian Lillard of the Milwaukee Bucks, which shocked a lot of people. A lot of people I saw were very surprised, and I was definitely surprised as well by Damian Lillard. I saw Damian, I was like, really? Wow, Dame? All-Star starter. Wow. Of course, that second guard in the East, one of them was Tyrese Halliburton, which obviously he was going to be an All-Star starter at games in Indy, but he's also having an insane year. So Tyrese Halliburton, yes. But Damian Lillard was a very interesting one. A lot of people had Jalen Brunson or Tyrese Maxey or Donovan Mitchell, maybe even Trae Young. But Damian Lillard is a second starting guard in the Eastern Conference, which, shocked a lot of people, looking at who. So yesterday, I made a video giving my own 2024 NBA All-Star ballot, which if you missed that one, you can go back and watch it. I was really proud of that video. I gave my All-Stars. And personally, I did not have Damian Lillard making the All-Star team, period. Now, again, a little context to that video. This was not that video. That was not me predicting the All-Star game. That was me giving my own personal All-Stars. And personally, for me, Damian Lillard was my first snub. My last spot was between him and another guy, and Damian Lillard unfortunately did not make the All-Star team for me personally. But if we were predicting, I probably would have had predicted Dame probably was going to make the All-Star team. Just because, he's well respected by the media, the players, the fans, and all that stuff. Which, I respect him too, obviously. Who doesn't love Damian Lillard? You know what I mean? So, I was not surprised that he was going to make the All-Star game, ultimately at the end. But being an All-Star starter was very, very, very surprising to me. I personally had Donovan Mitchell as my other starting guard in the East, but Jalen Brunson made a great case. Literally, I was picking between Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson for my second starting guard in the East. I ultimately went with Donovan Mitchell, but Jalen Brunson has an amazing case in his own right. And a lot of people were, again, arguing that Jalen Brunson should have been that second guard in the Eastern Conference, which I can't really blame him. Jalen Brunson's having a career season. He's averaging career highs in points, assists, steals, three-point percentage. He's having a great year on a Knicks team that is top 5 in the Eastern Conference, just moved up to 4 after last night. They have a great season. Jalen Brunson has taken that step as the guy in New York. And a lot of people it was very interesting because it also is New York, which is one of the biggest fan base ever in the world. And surprising that Jalen Brunson didn't really get the fan voting. Because I think Damian Lillard beat out Jalen Brunson at the fan voting, I want to say. Which is very, very interesting. Because, again, it's New York. And Knicks fans, they love Jalen Brunson. They would ride with Jalen Brunson. And so it was very interesting to see that Jalen Brunson didn't get that second guard in the East. I was for sure thought it was going to be either between Jalen Brunson or Donovan Mitchell. Maybe even have a case for Tyrese Maxey, because of how big a season he's having. Even Trae Young, even though the team isn't winning, Trae Young's having an insane season as well. But Damian Lillard was not one that I thought was going to be the All-Star starter in the Eastern Conference, the guard position. Now, is this the right call? Personally, I don't think so. I think it should have been Jalen Brunson, that second guard in the East. Damian Lillard is still having a great year. Damian Lillard is averaging 25, 4, almost 7 assists and a steal. Not having a great efficiency shooting season. He's shooting 42% from the field, which is lowest in a couple years. 34% from 3, his lowest in a couple years. So he's not having a great efficiency shooting season. The Bucks are second in the Eastern Conference, though, which is a big thing. And Damian Lillard he had a tough start, but he's recently been coming on. He had a couple game winners, some big games as of recently. So I'm not super surprised that Dame made the game in general, even though I personally, again, didn't have him on my personal All-Star list. But being an All-Star starter was very surprising. And honestly, I believe it should have gone to either Jalen Brunson or Donovan Mitchell. Jalen Brunson Again, having a great season. He's giving you 26.5 points, almost 4 rebounds, 6.5 assists, shooting 47% from the field, 42% from three, on a Knicks team that is fourth right now in the Eastern Conference. Or Donovan Mitchell, who is currently averaging 27 points, career highs in rebounds, 5.4 assists over 6, almost 2 steals, shooting 46% from the field, 34% from 3, and bringing a Cleveland team that's missing 2 of their top 3 players, and Darius Garland and Evan Mobley, all the way up to number 5 in the Eastern Conference, and they were on an 8-game win streak. And he's been doing a lot of different things. They both have really good cases. Even Tyrese Maxey has a really good case, too. The third seed in the East, Tyrese Maxey, is probably going to be most improved player of the year. He's averaging over 25 points per game, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, and a steal, shooting efficiently, 44% of the field, 37% from 3. Even Trae Young. Honestly, I thought Trae Young probably would have got, a chance, because if you look at the All-Star voting returns, Trae Young was really high on the fans voting. Trae Young was like second. Like, I put in my notes of a thing once the All-Star returns came out. Like, if it was just based on fan voting and not anything else, Trae Young would have been that second starter in the All-Star game. It would have been Tyrese and Trae Young. But of course, the voting percentage is 50% fans, 25% players, 25% media. And so Trae Young probably didn't get enough in the media and the player voting because his team has not been that good. But Trae Young's having a really good season himself. He's averaging almost 27 and 11 assists. Like, that's a really good numbers, And Dame, again, I don't want to say this, I'm saying all this. Dame Lillard has still been really good. Has still been an all-star level player, obviously. Like, again, in my personal thing, he did not make the all-star team, but I was not going to be surprised if he actually made the all-star game just because it's Damian Lillard, But being an all-star starter definitely shocks everybody. And what's the right decision? I don't think so, personally. I think it probably should have gone to Jalen Brunson or Donovan Mitchell. Because that would have been a cool story if Jalen Brunson was going to be an all-star starter his first time, or if Donovan Mitchell got the all-star start, leading his team up to 5. But, honestly, we're talking about it now. But at the end of the day, Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell are probably going to make the all-star game anyway. So, does it really matter who starts to come off the bench? Because if you really think about it, if you go back and look at in a few years from now, and like maybe even next year, 2 years from now, we're not going to remember that Damian Lillard started the All-Star game over Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell. Let's be honest here. Like, when you show up in the accolade, it doesn't say 3-time All-Star, 1-time All-Star starter. It just says 3-time All-Star. So honestly, in 2 years, or even maybe by the end of the year, maybe even, who knows, we're not really going to remember Damian Lillard started over Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell. We're going to be like, oh man, we're still mad that Jalen Brunson. Like, honestly, it kind of really doesn't matter because Jalen Brunson's going to make the All-Star team. Donovan Mitchell should make the All-Star team. Tyrese Maxey's going to make the All-Star team. So it's like, at the end of the day, they're going to be in the game anyway. Whether they start or come off the bench kind of really doesn't matter. It's just more about, the title, I guess, of Damian Lillard was an All-Star starter and Jalen Brunson came off the bench in the All-Star game. Like, doesn't really matter too much at the end of the day. So, honestly, yeah, I say they probably didn't make the right decision in making Dame a starter, but it doesn't really matter too much, when we really think about it. But everyone else in the All-Star starter deserved it. I got everything else in the All-Star starter. On my ballot became true in the regular All-Stars. Tyrese Halliburton, that second All-Star guard spot deserved. The starting forwards in the East are probably the easiest thing to do in the entire All-Star game. Joel, Giannis, and Tatum. Like, what else are you going to beat with that? And in the West, they got, of course, LeBron making his 20th All-Star appearance, which is now the most all time, which is, crazy. Shout out to LeBron. Jokic and Durant making it. Luka. And then Shea got that second starting spot in the West as a guard. I personally had Shea as my second guard in the East starting. But honestly, I was not gonna be very surprised. Honestly, I was kind of expecting Steph Curry and Luka to start. Because I was still expecting Steph, even though his team has not had very success and he's kind of been slumping as of recently. I still expected Steph to have a lot of respect among the fans and the players and the media. And I for sure thought it was going to be Luka and Steph again in the All-Star game. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, apparently. It's a new era, 2024, SGA, which is really well-deserved. Right now they're second in the West, only a half game just because Minnesota played last night. OKC didn't play. They've been top 2 in the West for a long time. Shai's having an MVP type of season, and it's really well deserved for him to start in that All-Star game. He's been amazing. And yeah, so that's our All-Star starters. I think next week, probably next Thursday, I want to say, is where we announce reserves, and that's where it really gets interesting. I'm very, very interested to see what the reserves look like because, again, there's a lot of different things that can happen. And now that Damian Lillard makes the All-Star game as a starter, I'm very interested to see what happens with the East bench. And because there might be one of those guards, Trae Young or someone, might not make that game, So I'm very interested to see what happens with the All-Stars. But yeah, those are the All-Star starters. But yeah, that's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you enjoyed the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, all stuff like that. Really appreciate it. Really helps out a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.